Well, thank you very much for asking me to come in and talk to you all. Just to give you some background, we've been in property investment for the best part of 18 years before buy-to-let even became a word on the market. We're purely based in London, and our portfolio exists in London. And Arthur came about 2 years ago, purely by luck. We were going to a personal function, and that classic text came through from a tenant, a leak. It took me the best part of an hour of the evening, I missed the hors d'oeuvres, of trying to deal with the tenant, the contractor, back to the tenant. And I even couldn't find the contractor. I had to source a contractor actually from a colleague who had a property portfolio. During the evening, we got discussing about how unbelievably inefficient our lives were trying to manage tenants. From the text coming in, to an email being sent, to a voicemail. I had 5 different ways of trying to speak to these various people. So we came up with the concept of Arthur. Now, Arthur is a very unique system. It's taken us 2 years to develop. We launched it at the Barbican Landlords and Letting Show this year. And we wanted to completely revolutionise the way we dealt with our tenants. So when we developed Arthur, we had a couple of things in mind. I mean, you can see Noah's Ark. I don't want to take the analogy of Noah's Ark too far here. But basically, we wanted to create a platform where we could invite our tenants, our contractors, our letting agents, and actually, in our case, we manage for some other property owners that are friends of ours. And we wanted to be able to invite them to our own personal hub, our own management world. And we developed Arthur. So Arthur is very much a 3-dimensional system. It's not linear in that sense, and it will become a bit more apparent as I go through the system. We needed it to be audited. We needed everyone to know what was going on at any one particular time with one medium, not text, not email, not phones, just one system alone. We needed to be reactive. That situation of that tenant, which took me the best part of an hour, I can now deal with in 15 seconds, and everyone knows what's going on, which was very important. And equally as important, we needed everyone kept up to date, from the contractor to the tenant, even the property owner that may actually be the owner of that particular property. In the last few years, we've been seeing quite a lot of these headlines, rogue landlords, rogue agents. So Arthur was all about transparency, and it was about keeping everyone informed, so that day that if ever we ended up with a Section 8 or we ended up having to go to court over an inventory, we could have everything laid bare that we've done it correctly. And that's what Arthur is. When I talk about 3 dimensions, what I mean is that everybody, whether you're a tenant, a contractor, an owner or a letting agent, in our world, in our property management world, you get your own unique interface. So that's web and mobile. So whether you have a smartphone or an iPhone, you get your own little interface there. Now, these will be available on the Google Store in 3 months' time. At the moment, they appear by what's called a web app. Now, web app and native app, not to get too technical, native app is what you find on the Google or Android store. It's ones you get free or you pay for. The web apps are just simply you open the Safari browser on your phone and it opens up in exactly the same way as what they call the native app, so it looks the same to you as the user. The only difference is when we do an update, which we do every other day, as soon as you open up that browser, you get it completely updated. If you use a native app through Google, some of you have done so, you have to go to the store and update, which isn't great when you want to have your web linked with your mobile. So we use the web app. But as you can see, everyone gets access to their own interface. Now, when I talk about audited, what I mean is whatever I'm doing, and I'm actually the property manager here, but whatever's happening on this side is seen by the people on this side. So I'll give you a perfect example. My inventory clerk completed a work order that I sent. Okay, so here's the inventory clerk. When he presses the button on his mobile phone or on his web, everyone sees it along there. I know it's happened, the letting agent knows it happened, and the tenant knows it's happened. So suddenly, from one button, everyone knows what's going on. And you can see down this list of the various people. So that's me, contractor, the tenant. Here we go. The tenant has made a comment about his tenancy. And as soon as he's made that comment, I see that comment. So I know exactly what's going on at any one particular time. Now, when I talk about reactive, if I go back to that evening where I had to spend the best part of 45 minutes dealing with this particular leak, in a situation like this, when my boiler is leaking and that tenant has raised that issue, either on the mobile platform or on the web, I get that immediately coming into me as an email, and I can respond to that immediately through the system. I just simply go onto my site on my mobile phone and I create a work order, and I raise that work order on my phone. I then find the contractor that's working that evening. Now, it could be I send that job to one contractor or I send it to 5 contractors. In this particular case, I sent it to 5 contractors because I needed that job done as soon as possible. And the first contractor that picks up that job is the one that gets it. When the other contractors try and pick up the job, they're just told, I'm sorry, that job is now allocated. So suddenly it's become very efficient for me. I've just dealt with that within a few seconds. When the contractor receives a job, he can receive it in one of 2 ways. When he receives his email, he has, and I'm not sure if you can see this at the back, he has an accept job or reject job. Yeah? So he can either deal with that job directly from an email that's come in, or he can go straight onto his mobile application and go to job on offer and accept the job. But either way, as soon as he accepts the job, it feeds all the way back into the system so the tenant knows the job's in progress, and I know that I've assigned it to a work order. I've assigned the work order to a contractor. So suddenly that one press of a button has sent the information to everyone concerned. That's great. I've got a happier tenant. Now, the point of keeping up to date is wherever the communication is between the tenant, the contractor, the letting agent, whoever it's between. So this is me as a property manager. This is my phone. I can see a communication between the contractor and the tenant. So there's never he said, she said. I know exactly what's going on. And this is an actual message flow that was actually happening. That's on the mobile, and on the web, I'm seeing the same flow. I'm seeing the communication between me, the tenant, me, and the contractor. That's a 3-way conversation that's all audited, which is very important if ever you find yourself out on a limb and you're in front of a judge at any particular point. So Arthur is really all about that sort of transparency. So from an auditor perspective, it marks 10 out of 10. Being reactive and that you can react to a problem really quickly and really efficiently is 10 out of 10. And the fact that everyone is kept up to date is 10 out of 10, which means, as I said, I can't stress this enough, if ever you're in a situation where you have to produce and be seen to be doing the right thing, then that's the reason we developed Arthur as a product.